Um, Janelle, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Aranke. And good evening and welcome, everybody. My name is Janelle Anderson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm honored to serve as Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of ASE Community Foundation for Black Canadians with Disabilities. Right now, I'm stepping in to open our annual general meeting on behalf of Board Chair Lisa Arneson, who is currently in transit and sends her deepest appreciation for all of you joining today. And she is looking forward to joining us as soon as she can to give some more updates. So before we begin, I want to ground us with two important acknowledgements. So first, we acknowledge that we are gathering on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaties signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. As a Black disability-led organization, we recognize the shared histories of colonization, displacement, and systemic oppression that connect our struggles. And we remain committed to building relationships rooted in solidarity, respect, and justice with Indigenous communities. And in celebration of Canada's adoption of the United Nations Second International Decade for People of African Descent, we recognize all people of African descent and dedicate today's meeting to our ancestors. So we pay tribute to our ancestors, those who were forcibly displaced from Africa, those who resisted, those who built, those who dreamed, and those who fought for our liberation. We honor their legacy by continuing to demand equity, recognition, and justice for Black disabled people, not only in Canada, but across the diaspora around the world. Their resistance guide our path, reminding us that our struggles for justice, dignity, and full citizenship are part of the larger fight for full liberation for intersectional Black communities across the diaspora. And this is our hope for future generations, where we are designing a world where the worth of Black disabled people are affirmed and our right to thrive is centered. Now, as we turn toward today's business, I want to pause and reflect on why we're here. So ASE, as we all know, exists because Black disabled people are not an afterthought. We are here to reimagine what is possible when Black disabled people lead, when we lead with community, when we lead with care, clarity, and power. Over the past year, our work has been rooted in justice, joy, and a commitment to truth-telling and community building. It's a privilege to open today's AGM, annual general meeting, not only to reflect on our shared work and to report back on that, but to also reaffirm our collective vision, one where the work is rooted in disability justice, Black liberation, and the unwavering belief that our lives, our voices, and our leadership matter. So whether you've contributed to our research, programming, advocacy, or just simply held space for others, you are part of this journey, you're part of this movement, you're part of this work, and we are so, so, so grateful to you. And so with that, I would like to officially call the AGM, or the 2025 Annual General Meeting, to order. If we could go back to the agenda, and then maybe I can ask or get a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting. Oh, I see Erin. Thank you. Maybe I can get someone to second that. Oh, Aronke, thank you. And Aronke, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Janelle. Thank you and welcome, everybody. My name is Aranke Emmanuel, and I'm the Director of Strategy and Operations at ASE Community Foundation for Black Canadians with Disabilities. I will be introducing the staff team for ASE Community Foundation. Today, we have with us Amanda Ngabire. She's the manager, community engagement and partnerships. Amanda, say hello.
Hi
We
everyone.
yeah, we also have Fola Fola Bakari. Fola Bakari is our events community events coordinator. We have Africa Spence. Africa Spence is the community programs coordinator. We have Samantha Acosta, who we call Mandy. Mandy is a community animator. Mandy actually does something really interesting. So you may wonder, what does a community animator mean? But she's gone through a series of change in her role, and we finally found something she really loves to do. So now, if you go to our YouTube, Mandy is the one that does the interviews for all the, I mean, within the community, all the interviews that we do as an organization. So she's connecting with people within the community. She's interviewing them. So please encourage Mandy, watch the videos, share the videos. And we have Lydia Gibrianes. She is the research assistant, and she works with us from Calgary. She's in Calgary. We have Mohamed Douale. Mohamed Douale is a digital marketing assistant. And I'm not sure if Mohamed is here, but am I leaving anyone else? I think that's about everyone. So that's the team that we work with. That's the incredible team that has pulled off the hard work that you have seen come through ASHE in the last 1 year. And this is my opportunity to say thank you to the team for all your hard work and all the thankless job that you have done. All right. So right now I'm going to be passing it on, Fola, to Alvin. Is Alvin here? Yes. Alvin is here. He is our accountant. We work with this organization, Blythe and Lee Professional Corporation. And Alvin has supported us through the year, doing our monthly reconciliations, providing us financial advisory and guidance, also prepared our financial statements. And yeah, it's just been a bundle of support to us. So thank you, Alvin. Over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing this evening? All right. I am not hearing any response. Usually, there you go.
Good.
Don't hear the response, but I see the responses. That is very good because, when we use these kinds of medium, it is always good to know that you're not alone. Even though you know that there are other people on the other side, but when you can't see or you can't hear, you still feel like you're alone. Am I right? There you go.
Right, right,
There you
right.
go. So now I know that I'm not alone. So I'm going to be sharing with you briefly a summary of the latest financial statements that were prepared for the year ended March 2025. I don't know whether you would have already received the full financial statements. So what I'm doing now, I'm taking those financial statements and I'm going to summarize them for you in nice little bits so that it's easily understood. So first thing I'd like to do is to share my screen. And right now I am not I think you have to make me a co-host to be able to share my screen from the moderator, the meeting moderator. Let's see if I have that. No. Says the stop other speed. Do you want to continue? Yes. Oh, so what it will do, it will have to close this one that is on screen now.
Yep, that's fine. It's okay.
I'm gonna say yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right, wonderful. So let me see if this is the one that I believe this is. It is a. If I'm not showing the right thing, you let me know, okay?
I think it's still showing mine.
Still showing yours?
Do you wanna try again?
Okay, let me try again. How about now?
No, Fola, can you stop sharing?
Yep. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah. No. So Alvin can share now.
Okay. There now?
Yep.
So I'm still
Yes.
using your slide format, and I'm just adding in a few slides in there. So the first one I'm going to share with you is a statement of financial position, and I'm hoping you can see that clearly enough. Is it legible enough? Not too small?
It's the best.
Yeah, it's good.
Wonderful. So the statement of financial position is the same report as a balance sheet. And so what the balance sheet shows, it shows you your financial position, just as it says, your assets, your liabilities, and your net asset as at a point in time. So, and that point in time, in this case, is March 31, 2025. So looking at this report, the first line it says here is cash. This is saying we have $534,719 in cash at the time. Notice I'm also comparing it with the previous year. So last year, around for the same time period for 1 year, we had $275,916. So you can see the cash has gone up by $258,000. Okay. Then the next item is accounts receivable. This represents funds to which we are entitled but not yet received. And the amount there is 169,000. Last year it was 59,000. So again, that has gone up by 110. The next item says HST rebate receivable, and this has to do with some credits that we can get back from the government when we make purchases and we pay HST. The amount right there, 8,400. Last year we had 2,900. And then the last item says payroll liabilities recoverable. This has to do with a slight overpayment of our payroll taxes. And so we are going to get that back. That's what this 3,100 is. So in total, then, we had $715,000 in assets. The year before, we had 338. So you can see that our assets has grown by 377,000, which actually is a doubling of the assets. And these are current assets. The next item here that says property and equipment, these are capital assets. Based on the nature of our the organization, we don't have a lot of capital assets right now. And so the total we had up to this March was 1,276. And this is after depreciation. Okay. So now let's look on the other side of the balance sheet. This is now called the liabilities and fund balance side. So whereas the first section we looked at represents what we own in terms of assets, this section now looks at what we owe in terms of liabilities. First item we see there is accounts payable, 14,600. That's the amount that was owing for regular accounts payable. The year before we owed $12,000. Notice also that there is an item that's called payroll deductions payable. So last year we owed 98,000. As you can see, that has been paid off. It is now zero. And so that's why the liability has come down by 98,000. The other two items on the balance sheet here are our fund balances. This is the net position of the funds that we have. Right now, we have different funds, quite a number of them, but we are summarizing, as I mentioned. And so we are just looking at two categories, restricted and operating. So the restricted funds are those funds that are received by a funder and they are earmarked for particular purposes. So we have to use them for the specific purpose for which they were given. We refer to those as restricted funds. The other one, operating funds, that is our day-to-day operational stuff, and there is no restriction on that, except we internally make restrictions. The board, for example, can make restrictions if they want, and we will refer to that as internal restriction. Okay, so that is a high level of our balance sheet or our statement of financial position. I'm going to move now to the next report, and this report is called the Statement of Operations. Now, this report, unlike the balance sheet, which shows your financial position at one point in time, the Statement of Operations shows the revenue that was generated over the period of time. And in this case, the period of time is the full year from April 2024 to March 31, 2025. And notice I am also dividing it between the two funds as well. I'm just going to focus on the total column. The total revenue generated from grants, as you can see here, was 1,032,688. That is the grants that we received in that fiscal year. Last year, for the year, we received $270,000 in grant. So again, you can see that there has been a significant increase in grant revenue. The next item says donation. Donations are different from grants in that these are funds given by individuals, not having any particular restriction. It could also be by corporations as well, but they are not part of our grant program as with the government grants. We received 13,000 this year. The year before, we received 12,000. Last item here, earned income. Notwithstanding that we are a charitable organization, we still do some activities and we generate some funds on our own. So this is what that is, 25,780 for work that we have done, things that we have done and generated revenue. Last year it was $500. So again, it has gone up. So that being the total revenue, 1,072,000 compared to last year, 284,000. Now, if we look on the expense side now, again, I have summarized the expenses into just three categories. First one, payroll and related cost. The total there was 259,603, and the year before we had 246,000. So we are pretty much within the same range as far as payroll and related. The other item is professional and consulting fees. These are external consultants, people who we engage for different kind of professional services. The total we paid out this year was 165,395. The year before we paid 158. So again, within the same region amount. Administrative expenses that represent all our other expense, program costs, admin costs, all other expenses. The total for this year, 173,509. Year before it was 78. So if we put it all together, we will see that the total expenses for the current year was 598,000. Last year it was 482. So here are the two important things now. This line, which is called surplus of revenue over expense, surplus or deficiency. What this line shows, the difference between the total revenue that came in and the total expenses that went out. So we are showing here that for the year 2025, there was a surplus of 473,000, which means we received 473,000 more than we spent in that year. The previous year was the other way around. We actually spent more than we brought in that particular year. Now, it doesn't mean that we are in a negative situation despite that fact, because if you look on the next line right below, it says fund balances beginning of the year. So in the year 2024, we started the year with 427,000 in surplus that was accumulated. For that particular year, we spent 198 more than we received. And so what that does, it brought down the surplus to 228, but we still had a surplus regardless. Is that make sense, everyone? All right. And so this 228 from 2024 was carried over into the year 2025. So here we have it as the beginning balance. And since in 2025, we collected 473 more than we spent, that amount is now added to the 228, and so we are ending with 702,055 in surplus. So that is where we are at this point. That is a high-level report, and like I said, the detailed financial statements are available. If you want to look at those, you will be able to see them. Last thing I just want to show you quickly, this little graph here, it says revenue by source. And as you can see, almost all of our revenue comes from grants. That's the big blue one there. There's a little bit that comes from donation, a little bit that comes from earned income, but majority of it comes from grant. I expect that if I am right around K, the earned income portion, this little portion may increase somewhat as we continue to provide some services. But since we are a not-for-profit organization, it's not going to be a major big source in any case. All right, and then the final report is just a similarly to look at the expenses by the three categories. You can see that the big one there represents payroll and related, so that is a large portion, and that looks like almost half, am I right, of our expenses. And then the professional fees is this part here in orange, and then that smaller part is the administrative. So that's just a high level look as to how the expenses are distributed. And with that, I think that's what I have for you tonight. I don't know whether you have time for question and answer, but Oranke, you will direct that part. Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah, a quick one. Aaron has a question, and so I'll let you take Aaron's question before you run away.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
Thank you. I just had a question about the relationship of the expenses, like in percentage to overall revenue.
Sorry, I didn't hear you clearly. Repeat that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to I had a question about the expenses in relationship to the overall revenue.
Yes.
What is that percentage in terms of total expenses versus total revenue?
It looks like I did not calculate it, but just by looking at this number here, sorry, this one, since our total expenses was 1.7 and our total expense was 590, so it looks like it's about 55%.
55%.
That looks like a very good estimate based on these numbers. 1,072,000 compared to 598. That's about, actually it's a little bit about 52%. So that's which is a very strong position.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Alvin.
All right, thank you very much. I will stop share.
Yeah, and I'll pass it on to Janelle now.
Thanks, Aranke. And just really briefly, before I pass it to Amanda to go further into the coalition, I just wanted to take a moment as one of the co-chairs, and Aaron is also here for the National Black Disability Coalition, to share how excited, how very proud, I still can't believe it's happening. This new part of our chapter at ASE, the coalition is such a bold step forward in building a national network rooted in, this, framework of Black disability leadership, community care, collective action. It exists, and it was really resonating with me when we did the launch, how much this was needed, not only ASE, but the coalition, because far too often our stories, our solutions, our leadership is often sidelined or excluded. So this coalition really is about, reclamation of space. It's about our power, like building power with our community and ensuring that we are not just included, but that we're also leading action, collective action towards, solutions for our communities. So, this is something that's historic. I'm very, very honored to be a part of that. And with that, I'll just turn it over to Amanda, who's leading this work, and just to share a bit more about the vision of the National Black Disability Coalition, the structure, and I know we're doing some recruitment to build up some subgroups within the coalition. So Amanda.
Thank you so much, Janelle. As Janelle just said, it's the first Black coalition for Black disabled people, led by Black disabled people. So it's a collection of Black disabled people, leaders, researchers, advocates who work collectively with our community as well as allies to address systemic barriers and stigmas at the intersection of Blackness, disability, as well as gender-based violence. So some of our goals are that it provides a supportive network that amplifies the voices of this population. It also encourages cross-sector collaboration as well as advocacy, and it gives opportunities to Black disabled people across the country to take up leadership roles across all sectors. So I'll just go into the structuring. So we initially had the steering committee that worked with us closely to draft the first terms of reference. And there were about 11. They served from November 2024 to this year, March. We've also recruited executive committee members. There are 12 members who have the lived experience. Some of them are here, Janelle, Aaron. Right now, we have 4 thematic groups that are centered around the themes of youth, research and policy, health, as well as entrepreneurship. We have recruited one of the role, which is entrepreneurship. Patience isn't able to be with us today, and we're actively recruiting for the other leads as well as members. We also have a national membership that is open for everybody that's interested in collective action, as well as Black disability justice. So what we have done so far, we've hosted, Fola, if you could go back. Thank you. So what we've hosted so far this April 16, 2025, we hosted a multi-sector disability think tank, which informed our strategic operations and our priorities. We have, as I've said, appointed the steering committee as well as the executive committee. We hosted the national launch event on May 27th, which was hybrid, and over 200 people participated, which was no small feat. It has been amazing to see everybody come and work at this intersection. We have actually, our page for the coalition is live on our website, so you can go and see any of the upcoming events. We have accessibility and II events that are upcoming this June. We have a lot of workshops, seminars, things that will improve career strategy as well as give leadership opportunities to Black disabled people. Fola, if you can move to the next slide. If you wanted to become a member for either of the affinity groups that I've just mentioned, please scan this QR code, and we will be signing, and I'll be reaching out to you. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at manager@ASECommunityfoundation.com. You can join as an affinity group member or a member at large if time doesn't permit. It's so exciting. We have upcoming professional development certificate programs this summer. So I can't wait to partner and see you there. Thank you so much. I will give it to Aronke to continue with our Real Knowledge series.
Thank you so much, Amanda. So, Fola, if you could just go to the real knowledge series slide and let me start from there. Okay, so as you may be aware, and some of you might have found us more visibly in the last year through the Real Knowledge series, that is one of the strategic priorities of ASE Community Foundation, to mobilize knowledge and share, what the community needs to create a path that they design for themselves. Now, our Real Knowledge series this last year was quite amplified because we discovered the gap between the Blackness and disability, the intersection of Blackness and disability, and skills required to actually make a change within the community. So we launched a couple in response to this, to filling this gap. We launched a couple of knowledge and awareness learning programs, one of which was the series on self-advocacy and confidence, the dream boarding, career and entrepreneurship readiness, public speaking and communication, networking, relationship building, and Black leadership. Now, all of this were facilitated by people with lived experiences and in partnership with organizations like March of Dimes, Mishka Community Services, Mishka Social Services, and other individuals, like some of our board members, facilitated as well. We had an annual town hall last year, which saw about 400 people registered for the town hall. We ran into space problems, at the town hall in December last year, and not every one of the 400 people could get in, but we had a good number of people represented during the town hall. The town hall is not just that once. We have used events like the Thrive 2024 to also have a town hall to get feedback from the community. Thrive 2024 held at the Wild Seed Center last year, and it had about 100 people in attendance in person. It was the second in the series, and we've had a third one in the series this year on the 31st of May 2025. We've had think tanks for our research projects, the Untapped Black Talent, which was commissioned by Carleton University, the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub. We had a think tank in February, I think, February 2025, to get feedback from the community of Black disabled entrepreneurs. We've also had Sitting in Limbo, which is a signature event that is done during the Disability Employment Awareness Month, which was October last year. Yeah, so all of these participants through the year actually saw 792 people attend all of these events across throughout the year. These 792 participants, if I'm not wrong, Fola, were all unique and new participants to the community.
Right.
None of them were had attended any program prior to this event. So for that, we are very proud because it was like direct reward for the work that the team was doing. Thank you, Fola. Next. Okay, so as you may all know, as you might have participated yourselves, all of our programs would require a pre and a post survey. This helps us to measure impacts, program quality, program relevance, and a couple other metrics that we have determined alongside our what do I call it now? Capacity strengthening partners. We have an organization that has helped us, get to where we are today in terms of strengthening our capacity, measuring our impacts, and communicating our impacts, and that is Lift Impact Partners. So Lift has helped us, through that process. So we're able to consolidate some of the responses and feedback that we have received from the community through this surveys and analyze them in order to communicate them to you. So 70% of the Blackness Success Summit participants, actually said that the event exceeded their expectation. Uh, if I don't know if anyone was there at that summit last year, but it was explosive. We saw, I think, about 250 students in attendance. It was a virtual summit. The town hall satisfaction average about 87%. Fola, help me. And the Aging and Disability Workshop held in November of 2024, so about 95%. This was a new workshop, actually. We had never done anything for for the seniors before, and the turnout was amazing. We did it, we had someone from now I forget the name of the organization, but it was on dementia, and we had
Alzheimer's Society.
we had a facilitator from the Alzheimer's Society. Thank you, Amanda. So the Real Knowledge series altogether was rated 4.8 over 5, and that's about a 90% success according to the participants, not us. Next slide, please. Okay, so looking at the time, I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but these are some of the metrics that we have measured, some of the indicators that we had measured in our pre and post surveys, and this will be made available to everyone who has attended this meeting. It will be made public so that you can go back to read these reports. And this is the community impact report at the very high level. Maybe I would go through it quickly because these metrics are very important to us at ASHE. Leadership and advocacy. Leadership is one of the things that we want to see amongst the community. Within the community, I mean, we want to see Black people thrive on the path they design. And what that looks like to us is more Black disabled people reaching leadership positions, taking up leadership positions within their communities, globally, wherever they find themselves, and being confident to do so. We want to see that Black people with disabilities have a sense of belonging and are not masking their identities anymore. And with these percentages that we see here, this rates that we see here, it tells us that we're doing something right, if the numbers are this high. And the other one is just logistical percentages information. Next slide, please. Okay, so having said all of that about our past events, past programs, workshops, and webinars, I'm hoping that you would want to see how these workshops are actually being done, or the value that is inherent in all of these workshops and seminars and special events. So I'm taking this opportunity to invite you to some of the webinars that we have coming up this month, June. As a matter of fact, on Thursday, we have the neuro-inclusively designed workplaces and classrooms accommodations, and accessible technology. We have a tech company coming to facilitate this one. They are going to be telling us everything about all the accessible technology that is available to us that we should be taking advantage of. Next is the next week we'll be having a balancing act, accessibility and AI and the risk of racial bias technology. In August, we'll be having the fifth edition of the annual Student Success Summit. Uh, like I said before, this is a signature event. It has a large turnout every time. It is planned by Black disabled students from start to finish, with the support of our events coordinator, Fola. In October, we have Sitting in Limbo, an urgent call addressing high unemployment and increasing poverty at intersections. And in December, we're expecting everybody at the annual town hall again. One thing that I have reserved to speak about later is the fifth anniversary, and I'll talk about that. Okay, Paul, I want you to say it now. I'll speak about it, and I'm sure that Lisa is also going to speak about it. Um, I am acknowledging that Lisa is here, the founder and chair of ASE Community Foundation, founder and chair of the board. She's here now with us, having flown in from Jamaica this evening. Actually, I think she probably has just landed in Toronto as I speak. So I am also inviting you and asking you to save the date, register, purchase your tickets before they're all gone to the fifth anniversary gala and awards of ASE Community Foundation, taking place at the Delta Hotels Toronto on Saturday, 27th of September. Please look out for more information. There will be updates. From now on, Fola is on full throttle. So I can assure you that there will be updates coming your way regularly about the fifth anniversary. Please use the link that you see there. It will also be shared in the chat. Use it to register so that you can receive all of the updates that Fola will be sharing with us. Next, Fola. Okay, I would also use this opportunity to thank all our funders, all the money that you saw Alvin speak about. It didn't drop from the sky. We had to write, proposals upon proposals, have unending meetings with policymakers, have discussion with partners, you know, and all of those things. And so here I'm taking the moment. I won't go through all of them, but you can see their logos, their names on the screen to say thank you to all of our funders, all of our donors, and our partners. Thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate you. And we look forward to working more with you in future. Fola. I would leave this to Janelle or Lisa if Lisa can speak now. Oh, I think we lost Lisa. So Janelle, you want to make the call?
Yeah, I think right now we're at a place for ASE Community Foundation recruiting new board members. There's a deadline of July 31st. So if you're interested, please reach out to myself, Lisa, or the contact right there is connect@ASE Community Foundation. Um, Aranke, is it like you submit a resume or is this just a statement or expression of interest to be a part of the board?
It's a resume and expression of interest.
Perfect. And you can
Yes.
send that to connect@ashecommunityfoundation.com and I can pop that email in the chat just to make it easier. Back to you, Aranke.
Thank you, Janelle. And I'm just going to use this opportunity to also thank every board member who have supported us over the past year. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Lisa, even though she's not here. Thank you, Dr. Patience. Thank you, Bernard. We truly, truly appreciate your support in the past 1 year. You have been amazing. You have shown up every time we have called. Patient supports our research projects. Bernard supports our facilitations and workshops and even our partnership engagements. Janelle supports everything. Like Janelle is in everything. She's traveling with me, she's supporting Ashe, she's writing to the United Nations, she's doing all of that. Thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate your support. I truly appreciate your support. I'm going to see if Lisa is here. Is she? If not, Janelle, do you want to do the chair report for her? Are you able to? For life, you can bring it on screen so Janelle can see.
Okay, so I'll be reading from the slides, folks. Sorry about that. Just subbing in for Lisa right now. So Lisa's report is going over some of the goals, progress milestones, and some of the challenges that Ashe's encountered between 2024 to 2025. So some of the goals that were identified, I think Aranke spoke to this. One of the biggest pieces of the work that we do and why we do it is to build capacity to develop Black disabled leaders across Canada. So some of the goals were to aspire to include voices and understandings of Black disabled people, their experiences, capitalize on the diversity and collective expertise. Like we always mention, the Black community is not a monolith, so we are quite diverse. Our experiences are intersectional and different, but we come together as a collective voice. Identifying nationwide research, policy, networks, also building a national resource model that embeds accessible technology. Work collectively to identify organizational program, policy, research gaps. So some of that work really started from that engagement report that we did through Employment Social Development Canada called the Capacity Building Research Project that had a lot of recommendations about how we engage, Black disabled communities, as well as, really centering our leadership. Some of the other work we did was to work with partners, service providers to improve and to build out Black culturally affirming and accessible services. Also, some of the goals too, I think she wrote there 2009, was to have charitable status, which we now do. And then again, having more capacity building funding and program funding. And then some of the outcomes from those goals from 2009 was that we achieved 70%. I think, again, Aranke reported on some of the results from our survey. And, this was, oh, can you go back to? One more. So this, some of the outcomes in terms of what was achieved through 2020, 2025 was leading the conversation and awareness. We were seen as subject matter experts in this area, engaging in hiring Black disabled people with intersectional identities, experiences, and talents. And I think, Alvin gave that reporting of the money spent. And what I want to highlight was that we really spend money on accommodations. It is not an afterthought. It is not something that's burdensome. We value that. So some of that money or expenses that Alvin reported on includes money spent on accommodations because we do value and we do hire Black disabled people. identified research policy network gaps that, over 7 projects. I don't know if that was reported on, but some of that work included the Black diverse learners, and Aronke mentioned the Black disabled entrepreneurship project. There's also research projects forthcoming with the Children's Services Every Child Belongs unit that looks at the experiences of Black caregivers with Black disabled children navigating this supports in, childcare, the childcare sector. There were, launching of the Black Hub, which is a Black Disability Cultural Responsive Research Hub. It collates different resources for folks. I'm not sure if Fola or Aranke can just pop that in the chat. It's a wonderful hub. I think a lot of care went into, collating resources across Canada, working across partner services and to identify gaps, as well as Shay, again, known as an intermittent source, an expert in this area. We've expanded our national and international scope. As mentioned, we've launched the national coalition, but also we've also actually, Lisa and I wrote a report back to the UN Convention of Committee for the Rights of People with Disabilities. Lisa attended, and it was quite an experience for her. And it just really reaffirmed why we do this work and, how much it's needed. And I will say the UN's report back to Canada, or their recommendations back to Canada, actually, I think for the first time, because of our report, they've mentioned and distinctively named Black disabled people and how we are excluded. So I think that's I don't know, I felt very proud of that we were able to go show our full selves and be validated in that way. Ronki, do you want me to do next slide? I'm not sure if Lisa has joined us yet.
Yes, please, go ahead. It's just highlights.
Just the highlights. So
Yeah.
some of the highlights was that ASHE's participated on over 20 committees and advisories from not StatsCan, I think the Canada Disability Tax Credit, and many research networks as well as 5 cohorts and networks. We've been included in over 30 policy and funding meetings, 14 panels showcasing sector leadership, 17 real knowledge series trainings that Aranke had gone over, as well as 5 external trainings.
Okay, if I want to give a little bit more context to that, Janelle, thank you so much. I would say that the 5 core networks means that we've participated with other organizations to learn. So it's actually #knowledge, not advocacy, to learn, one of which is the cohort with Lift Impact Partners. They helped strengthen our capacity for impact measurement. Also, we're in a cohort with Future Skills Center, where we're designing a solution for a school to work transition model for Black neurodiverse youth. We're also I'm trying to think on the other courts. There is one with the Toronto Foundation, where executive directors, which I have been attending for the past 1 year. It's more like a support group where we're able to talk about the challenges that we're going through and get support from within the organizations that are there. That's to mention a few. I would also say that for the 5 external trainings, if you saw that we had a little chunk of funding that was reported that was earned income. So these 5 external trainings contributed to our earned income. That is how we earned income. So we've done intersectionality trainings for other organizations. We did for the Office of the Public Health Officer in British Columbia. We also did for Lift Impact Partners. They're also in British Columbia. And we've done a couple more for the Black Entrepreneur and Black Executive Network, and a couple more organizations that we received income for. And we sat on 14 panels, where we had been invited to speak as thought leaders within the sector, as leaders within the sector. And yeah, that's it. Next slide. Okay, this was supposed to be Lisa's slide. So I'm not going to attempt to talk about it. I believe that Janelle already did a bit, because I don't want to butcher it, but maybe I can give it a try. Maybe I can give it a try. So Janelle already mentioned what we're doing with the City of Toronto Children's Services. Every Child Belongs. It's a research project, and I believe that Dr. Patience Adamu is working with Lisa and the research team on that. I am not on the research side. I am just in the administration side. And there is also the research we're doing with Birth Lab, University of British Columbia, and the collaboration, Dementia in the Black Community with Alzheimer's Society, in collaboration with Center for Diverse Learners and funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation. We carried out a 2 year research project on the Black neurodiverse youth. And this, we came out with a theory of change and a systems map. Out of that is layered on the findings is the model that we're now trying to design with the Future Skills Center. And we're hoping to create a model that we can pilot and get funding for by the end of this year. So fingers crossed, we'll see what we come up with from that cohort. And the conference presentations and papers that Lisa has done in the last year, the untapped talent about Black entrepreneurs with disabilities. This was done at the Carleton University, Ottawa, at the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub Capstone Conference in February 2025. Also, Lisa was at the United Nations in Geneva to present ASE Community's response to conventions of persons with disabilities. She also went to New York to give a statement to the UN Second Decade for People of African Descent. I think I did good. Okay, next slide, please, Paula. Okay, over to you, Janelle.
Oh, any resolutions? I'm not sure if there's any. I'll put it out there for folks. Not seeing any comments. Maybe we can. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Fola. I want to also give a big shout out and a note of gratitude to Aranke, Fola, Amanda, and folks on the ASE team for organizing it and for all the work that you all have done. You know, Aranke mentioned all the grants, the grant writing. Aranke, give yourself like a round of applause for that. I know that was a lot of sleepless nights, but this, it really helped build up ASE. And as Alvin presented, like, I think but for the last fiscal year, like we really upped the amount of projects that we're doing, but also we're able to like receive a lot of funding, which is never an easy task. I know it's often like a hard thing to not to relay, but to speak about in terms of to our funders about why we exist and why we do the work that we do. There's so much resistance, and I know Aranke, like trying to convey that in a strategic way to receive funding is always a hard task. So thank you for all the work that y'all do. And with that, I will adjourn today's AGM. Thank you for joining, folks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Janelle. Thanks, Alvin. Thank you,
Good evening.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye.